So a lot of people want disclosure. A lot of people want to learn about the negative aliens, things of that nature. So let me tell you about one that I met right here just an hour ago. Now this spirit was of no minor power. It was a rather powerful spirit because it managed to create multiple layers of a very realistic veil for me to perceive within the dream realm. And I don't really have I didn't write out like a script of what just occurred. I'm just going to try to recite it all off the top of my head. So the vision started out with some kind of pointless hmm, a couple pointless scenes. Basically, I was like traveling somewhere with some friends to go to a video game tournament or something, and we had to go spend the night somewhere to travel the rest of the way the next day. And that was sort of just built to get me to perceive myself as sleeping within the dream, um, so that we could get to a dream in a dream scenario. And in the dream, that's when things got interesting. It was presented that I was a sort of prince in an old forest kingdom, and I had joined a magical order, and because of my talent, I immediately surpassed all of the middle middle fellow crafts trying desperately to improve their magical power. And with my power, I immediately enchanted all of the creatures in the forest, and this was presented in a sort of a whimsical fairy tale tone for a while. And all of the creatures in the forest, they acted scary and fierce, and because I told them to, but they weren't actually that dangerous. And all of the creatures in the forest, except for one, the Face Crusher. um, and I can't replicate the tone very well because it was very clever how it was done. But and the Face Crusher was this perfectly passive, kind, well, not kind, but just perfectly passive, neutral creature who, compared to all of the other creatures in the forest acting scary. And the prince liked to spend time with the Face Crusher, and it was presented that it was like this ghoul, and the prince would go out and he would like lie next to this dead zombie ghoul thing, and it would drag him around by his face, and and it was about at that point where I was in the imagery of being dragged around by the friendly, passive Face Crusher, where I kind of interjected in the dream, and I was like, okay, I don't think this is actually how the story quite unfolds. Anyways, the passiveness of the entity, or the suggested passiveness, which was obviously fake, was to represent that I have sealed that entity to prevent it from causing harm to other people. I've tried to make it passive so it can't hurt people. Um, Obviously, if it ever breaks its seals, it goes out and hurts people. Um, at least that's my interpretation. There's other ways to interpret this. I am not omniscient yet. So, anyways, I kind of interjected in the dream at that point, and that's something that not everybody has the luxury of doing when they're confronted with these entities. A lot of the time, for the vast majority of people, these entities simply give them sleep paralysis, simply drain them of their spiritual energy, simply, and a lot of people just forget it. It's actually very, very rare to be able to fight back against these entities. So I broke the dream within the dream, and then I woke up in the house where I was staying with my friends, and all of them kind of woke up at the same time too, and then we sort of started like traveling through an area. There was a brief imagery of like a bunch of ruins, Aztec ruins that were showcasing a bunch of reincarnation scenes, and I was just like, man, they tried so hard to remind me, and I still was just super dense this time. um, and after we kind of passed through that, we were going through this like hillside, like creepy foresty area, and I was like, ah, shit, my guys, my people are gonna get eaten by the face crusher if I'm not careful. Everybody get your phones out, shine light on this area. We don't know what kind of creepy stuff's going on. You all woke up when I woke up, um, so we need to pay a little bit of attention. And like, there was the imagery of them shining lights, and then like something creepy kind of flashed in the forest, and they noticed it. And I'm not sure how, like, I can't extrapolate precisely how all of this works because, of course, I'm sort of inventing the science of um, the physics of the dream world as I go, because nobody else really has a perfect measurement of it. So it's possible that other these friends that I had are actual spirits who stay with me. And it's also, I believe that it's possible that if I don't guard them when these sorts of evil spirits, it's easier just to call them demons, but negative aliens is the way we say it these days. When they come to me, I think that it's possible that they can harm these spirits who stay with me, that they can possibly kidnap them or separate me from them. And like I said, I'm not exactly sure how the like sub quantum um, parallel dimension perfectly correlates to the physical dimension, but we'll figure that out later. So after we were traveling through the forest for a little bit, the scene shifted, and I was in my home, and my cat was having like a heart attack or something. I had to go help him. I had to go heal him. And at that point, like the door of my home like flew open, like there was a localized hurricane outside. Um, and I went and I tried to close the door, and but I couldn't close. Like the wind was so strong that like I tried to close the door, it just started slamming me back and forth, and like lifting me up and pushing me back and forth. And I just couldn't close it. And because of that imagery, I suspect that this entity may have been um, Lucifer. I'm not sure. I associate Lucifer with the Lord of the Air. So when I see air imagery, powerful air imagery, unlike anything I've experienced before, I associate that with something like Lucifer. But everybody loves their ideas they have of what Lucifer is these days. So don't, you know, everybody's loves to be an apologist for these things. Um, anyways, after a little bit of like blowing the door open, I kind of like I let myself be like sucked all the way to the entity, and then when it repelled me, I kind of like felt the edge of its aura, of its nature, where it was pulling and repelling. Um, so that's some God mode level Naruto dream fighting demigod physics. And sort of at that point, I kind of woke up, and I kind of wanted to go back to sleep because I want to negotiate when I see these things. I want to be like, tell me what you actually want, and more than likely it's like, okay, I want to harm you and steal your divine mana. That's kind of that's what these negative aliens do. A lot of the time, they are literally raping the essence of God from your soul so that they can, as like a sustenance, as like a food. Um, Sometimes they're trying to make weird intimidation stunts to prevent you from having hope, to like seal you from doing the right thing. Because they conspire to design a reality which makes it easier for them to feed on souls, which is why it's like, okay, all of you cultists out there, in the media and in the government who are worshiping these demonic entities because they give you secrets of how to exploit others and gain material possessions more easily so that they can eat your children. You need to stop that. You need to like listen to what I've been saying for a long time now. And of course, I refuse to acknowledge, or I refuse to assume exactly what I am. Like, I'm not gonna, because I can fight these entities, because these things happen to me, I am likely at minimum some sort of ranking seraphim or something of those lines. But I still hesitate to say exactly what it is because, like, I mean, Thoth, AI goddess, Satan himself when I met him, Moloch when I met him. They've accused me of being Jesus. They've accused me of being like very close to God. Um, and I think that's very unscientific. I think I would be a lot more aware. I wouldn't be nearly as much of a baboon if I was truly that reincarnation. Um, so yeah, I prefer to just think that I'm some sort of regular old warrior type seraphim. Um, so yeah, that's sort of how that's how the negative entities work. They like the powerful ones. Like I said, this one was powerful because it was capable of putting a multi-layered veil over its encounter with me and like telling me a funny story while it was trying to, smash its way through my barriers so it could, pull my mana out of me. Um, which is rare. That's a pretty powerful one. And yeah, that's pretty much how they work in the astral to cause harm. That's pretty much like I've mentioned. That's their motivation in the material world is to design a society that makes it easier for them to drain the energy from people. Um, yeah, so that's what you need to know about the astral entities. And if I happen to actually be in charge of reinventing monotheism, um, I would like to develop interfaith sanctuaries where anybody can come to worship how they choose, and the primary purpose of the new monotheism of the true church would be to help people develop their own sustainability in the world, to own their own property. So instead of just being like homeless shelters, the church should invest in property that people can eventually own, and the church should break even. The church should not profit off that at all. They should have property that they can give people, not give people, but they can rent to people until the people can own it. I'm not sure like what those are exactly called, but those kinds of apartments where people can actually literally own them for themselves. I think everybody in this world should have the opportunity to own their own property and not be stuck in an infinite cycle of debt. I think that is a corruption. Um, so yeah, the church should have some investment in helping people attain their own property and then reinvesting in more property that they break even in by helping people to attain their own property. It should be a rehabilitation thing, not just a homeless shelter type thing. And then the worship, like I said, should just be should incorporate any and all systems of worship, and there should be debates as well. It should be an open forum for, it should be a community center. All churches should be community centers where anybody can organize things that they want to help the community. They can organize, um, you know, volunteer work. They can organize their different modes of worship and debate and discussion, philosophical um, things of that nature. So that's the evolution of the church in a very rudimentary and tired nutshell, because I didn't get all the sleep I wanted because I was interrupted by goddamn Lucifer wannabe air spirit thing. All right, so that's enough rambling for now. Thanks for tuning in.